Okay, let's get started. Before we hit the road, just a couple things to point out on the inside. This is a larger steering wheel than you'd find like on the RAV4. It is the 4-spoke steering wheel, leather wrap perforated around the edges, so it's a nice comfortable steering wheel. Interesting thing though is it's not heated. Even on the limited edition, no heated steering wheel, so not a fan of that. On the right hand side, these are controls for the information center, which is located up in the gauge cluster, and then settings for the dynamic radar cruise control, lane departure, cruise controls down here, windshield wiper controls for front and rear are over on this side here. Fingertip controls for the sound system, Bluetooth connectivity for your smartphone, and then headlight controls over on this side. Now we do have automatic headlights and automatic high beams and also fog lights, and they're all controlled over on this side here. On the 4Runner, the armrest is low, but the power window switches are up high, so it's a little bit different than some of the other vehicles. Normally they're down a little bit lower, but they're up here. It does have auto up and down on all 4 windows, and then the Limited has the memory driver seat for the mirrors in the seat, and the switches are way down here on the armrest, so kind of an odd place to put those as well. As far as the center stack goes, we do have dynamic navigation and points of interest, so that's included. We also have Sirius satellite radio, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and Alexa compatibility. The JBL audio system, this is the top of the line system, so a really great sound system. You've got to give it a try. Stop by the dealership and give it a listen. Automatic temperature control for front driver, front passenger, heated seats and ventilated seats up front. That's these dials way down here. And then the Limited has some wood trim accents, so wood here on the shift lever. It's leather wrapped on the backside and wood on the front, and then wood trim up on the dashboard here. No other 4Runner has the wood accents like the Limited does. We have push button start. We have a dial selector for your off-road capabilities, so we don't have to worry about shifting it. You can just dial it right in. So let's go ahead and get started and check it out, see how it rides and drives. It is a gated shifter, and then you can switch over into manual shift mode right here just by toggling over to the left. So we'll head out on the road. I'm just going to drop my camera down so you can see more out the front of it. Minor change, but you might find that helpful. So this is going to be the 4-liter V6 gasoline engine, 270 horsepower, and it does pretty well. It's certainly not a powerhouse, but let's face it, it is an SUV, so it's heavy, but it's also more about going off-road than it is about winning any 0 to 60 times. Has enough power to get out of its own way, that's for sure. Fuel economy is not great. 17 miles per gallon combined city and highway on the fuel economy. Now, as far as visibility, the 4Runner is interesting in terms of the shape of it because it really is more squared off than other SUVs. So the windows are not as tall and long, but the visibility is pretty good because these A-pillars are pushed out to the corners and they're not as thick and they don't come up at your eye line. They just kind of almost go, not completely straight up, but they go up at a sharper angle than most SUVs. If you get in a RAV4 or a Highlander, they tend to come back toward your eyes more. The advantage is the side windows are more rectangular and really offer great visibility left and right, and with your mirrors, not a lot of blind spots. We're going to head up onto the highway here, and this will give us a chance to see the 0 to 60. This is a bit of a hill. So that's 60 right there. Yeah, it's not going to win any races, that's for sure. Even SUV races, but it's all right. And today's not a very windy day, so it's not terribly windy, a little bit of a crosswind. Listen for the wind noise here. So it definitely feels like I'm driving a truck, although the Limited does have a softer suspension. The bigger wheels and tires give it a little bit smoother ride. But what makes the 4Runner unique against so many other SUVs is the 4Runner is actually a body-on-frame construction. So it does have a more stiff ride, definitely rides more like a truck, like a pickup truck that has a frame underneath it. And you'll always get a more rigid ride out of that type of setup versus like the Highlander or the RAV4. Those are unibody constructions, so they don't have a frame. The body is more or less the frame of the vehicle. And the brakes feel, yeah, they're not precise. They feel a little bit spongy. Obviously they'll do the job. It has anti-lock brakes and traction control and stability control and disc brakes. So they work just fine. They just feel a little spongy compared to, say, a Camry or a Corolla. These seats are comfortable. I've got the ventilated seats turned on right now, and I will tell you that it's a little bit cool on the back. It's nice though. It's warming up nicely today. It's a bit of a hill. Let's give it a try. Yeah, once again, not great, but we'll do the job. I mean, obviously we're driving a heavy vehicle. The 4Runner does have part-time four-wheel drive and full-time four-wheel drive, but when you're not in four-wheel drive, this is a rear-wheel drive vehicle. So it's just like every pickup truck on the road, it's a rear-wheel drive vehicle. When you get into a Highlander or a RAV4, those are all-wheel drive vehicles. So there's a little power going to every wheel on those vehicles. Where here, all the power's to the rear wheels unless you turn on the four-wheel drive mode. So just be aware of that. I don't think a lot of people give that much thought that, hey, when I'm driving a 4Runner, if I'm not in four-wheel drive, I'm a rear-wheel drive vehicle. And what that means to you is you might not think about turning on the four-wheel drive unless there's a lot of snow on the road or something like that. Obviously, if there's 6 or 8 inches of snow on the road or it's snowing out, you might be more inclined to think, okay, I need to turn on my four-wheel drive. But let's say it's raining out and it's marginal. You might not think to turn on the four-wheel drive, but remember, you're driving in a rear-wheel drive on potentially slippery roads. So what that means is if you gas it, you could spin the back of the wheels. You could fishtail the back of the car. In this, unless you turn on 4-wheel drive, you could literally do a donut in the car. So I always remind people, when you're not in 4-wheel drive, you're driving a rear-wheel drive vehicle. Not saying that's bad, but I am saying that it might not be top of mind that you need to turn on that dial when the roads look slippery, even though there's not snow on the roads. So just keep that in mind. Of course, once you turn on your 4-wheel drive, you're going to see your fuel economy drop significantly as well. So, but this is the top of the line. This is the luxury version of the 4Runner. This is probably not the one that you're going to go doing a lot of heavy off-road driving with your buddies. The wheels and tires certainly aren't set up for that. These are more of a road tire, and having those 20-inch wheels with the lower profile tire on there is, your vehicle's going to be prone to wheel scuffs if you are taking it off-road. But if you're doing light off-road driving, like maybe just driving out across a hayfield to your hunting stand, this will do just fine. I don't recommend driving across creek beds and those types of things like you would in maybe a TRD Pro or TRD off-road. So definitely a luxury SUV. Hey, this is the 2021 Toyota 4Runner limited edition. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, be sure to give us a thumbs up and feel free to subscribe. This is Tony talking CarBiz. Thanks for watching.